What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be picking up where we left off in the last video with our power steering. So I'm doing a steering gearbox swap from the S10 to the Astro van. We are doing hydro assist. So we are going to be tapping the box, swapping the box, running hydro assist lines, working on the hydro ram. We have two videos on the channel already about hydro assist, both on Jeeps, and I ended up running into a couple of unique issues with this setup compared to the Jeeps. So let's get right into it. This is a 2001 S10 Saginaw box, and the reason we want to swap this out is because of this pitman arm right here. Because this is an IFS, our steering is coming towards the rear, and this is also a ball joint style steering arm, which we don't want. When you're doing a straight axle swap, basically you're moving the axle farther forward, and the angle of the steering no longer works. Some people I've seen can make it work if you're not pushing that axle forward. If you're running 33s, 35s, maybe smaller tires where you don't have to, push the axle farther forward. But because we are moving this axle farther forward, we can no longer get, our steering angles are going to be super janky with this arm right here. So the Astro van gearbox is internally backwards. So our pitman arm comes out the front. So that's why most people use those for the S10. Those are your choices. Astro van box goes forward. S10 box goes backwards. Jeep boxes go backwards. So this is our remanufactured steering gearbox. This is from a 1992 two-wheel drive Astro van, and we have our DIY 4x hydro assist cap. We have two videos on this already, so I'm not going to go into a ton of details, but this is the 3-inch one. There's two versions, a 3-inch, 3.5 inch, and this is going to replace the cap right here. So you're going to have to measure this ahead of time. I do know that this one is a 3-inch, and then the Jeeps are 3-inch. And when I did the Dakota steering box swap on my Jeep, it was the 3.5 inch. So make sure you measure. They have different versions of the Saginaw box with different in cap sizes, so make sure you check ahead of time. And then we're going to tap the top of the gearbox right here, drill and tap. This is a 3/8 MPT and 3764 drill bit set. I have this in our Amazon store. This is what I used on mine. Dan used this on his. This is the third time this has been used to tap this right here, and it still works good. I think it was super cheap. So all we got to do, drill, replace this cap, and then we can start attaching all of our lines and start installing it. So we got our top cap tapped right here. So a couple important things is this is 3/8 MPT. So these threads are not the same width all the way in. So the line on this is about 3/4 of an inch deep, a little bit less than that, but you can see how these taper and get bigger. So if you go all the way down and tap this, the top cap right here, all the way down to the end of the threads on here, it's going to be wide all the way through this, and then this is not going to tighten down and seal the way that you want it to. So that's just a note. So we got to bolt this back up to our gearbox, clean it up, and then we will install our hoses to the top and the front of the box, and then we will install it into the S10. So we are up underneath the truck. We have everything installed. I was figuring out the steering, and I determined that I needed to sleeve this and make this about 1.5 inches longer. It just wasn't long enough to reach the center throw of the steering gearbox pitman arm that's right here. So I still need to finish weld this. I wanted to make sure that everything was good to go before I welded it all in. The pitman arm right here, this is from a Grand Wagoneer. I will put the years and the part number up on the screen. It has very minimal drop. It's almost flat. We reamed this out to 3/4 of an inch with a reamer, and then that way we can have our bolt that goes through here. So we got everything done here, except I got to weld that part. All the lines are done. We have no leaks now. I was fighting this for quite a long time with leaks, and it just wasn't working right. I ended up having to get a new remanufactured steering gearbox, and this one is way better than the other one that I got. But overall, this should be good to go. Just need to wrap up a couple little things and it'll be all done. Another huge thing that is very important on this steering gearbox, because this is an Astro van and this pitman arm comes out towards the front. I fought this for quite a while before I finally figured it out that it was my fault. So this steering cap gives pressure to the right. So if you go to the website, if you look on any forums, you watch any of our other 2 videos that we install this goes to the right. When you steer to the right, it pushes the ram back towards, it pushes it back in, which would be this fitting right here. Unlike what the website says, unlike what anything says, if you're using an Astro van gearbox or any Saginaw box that is reversed, where the pitman arm comes towards the front of the vehicle, this cap is to the left. So my recommendation is make sure you just leave the ram off, because if you have it plumb backwards, this ram can destroy this gearbox, because it is stronger than this gearbox, and if it's plumb backwards and you try and pull it really hard and push it hard and you can't figure out why it's not working, you might break this box. So don't do that. Make sure you check with this off that it's pushing and pulling the correct direction. Okay, once all that's all done, our wheels are centered up, but our steering wheel is upside down, which is no good. So you can see the rag joint right there, and then the intermediate shaft that goes to the boot that is right there. What you have to do is remove this intermediate shaft. So take the rag joint out, the 11mm bolt right there, pop this off, pull the whole intermediate steering shaft out from this boot right there, and then all you're going to do is, once you pull that off, is flip the steering wheel 180 degrees and then reinstall it, and then turn the wheel so you can reinstall the bolt, and then your steering wheel, voila, is no longer upside down. I went ahead and finished all the welding up on the steering arm and then started reassembling all of the steering, and I realized that I had brand new heim joints that I wasn't using, and the heim joints in all of the steering were absolutely shot, like they were destroyed. So it took me a lot longer than I wanted to take doing this, but I went ahead and replaced all of the heim joints. I'm glad that I did it right now. I also had to reset the toe and the steering wheel center. It has been almost 4 months since I pulled this into my garage, put it on jack stands, and I've been working on it ever since. And it is time to take it for its first test drive. I think I got everything done that I need to get done, but I guess we're going to find out. So far, so good. It does feel like when I get on the throttle, things kind of move around a little bit. I'm not sure. First time going through the gear since the rebuild, so it's kind of wandering around a little bit here. Yeah, the steering is pretty sketchy. It is all over the road. So I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. We are back from the test drive. Things went pretty well considering 4 months, and basically everything underneath this has been changed. The only issues that I'm having is it's wandering really bad, so it just feels like it's kind of floating around. The whole front end's kind of floating around when you're driving. It's drivable, but it's just kind of it's weird feeling. So I realized that I got my caster backwards. So right now I have like 3 degrees of negative caster, and I need like 3 or 4 degrees of positive caster. Being that far off, I think that when I change my caster to what it's supposed to be, I think that the wandering is going to be either totally gone or way better and make it way more drivable. And for those of you wondering what caster is, it is the center line of the axle, either tilted forward or tilted backwards on the ball joints, as far as the ball joints being up and down. So right now I did it backwards, so I have negative caster. This is where I got in trouble last time. So my ball joint, my top ball joint is over top my lower ball joint, so it's kind of like you're driving on your tippy toes, is kind of how I would explain it. What I need to do is shorten my upper control arm right here. That will stabilize the whole steering and suspension front setup. Hopefully that makes sense. It definitely already feels a million times better. It feels more planted. It's not kind of just floating. So obviously with the Heim joints and just the way this is a rock crawler steering setup that was on a rock crawler. So it's not going to be perfect, and I know that. But this is a million times better. Well, the test drive is complete. The first drive of the S10 in its new straight axle swap rock crawler overlander form is successful. In my opinion, everything is working really well. It's making a couple noises and stuff that I'm gonna have to address and figure out, but I think I know what they all are, and I think they're gonna be normal for this vehicle. There's still a ton of things to button up and finish on this. I'm not even gonna give you the list because it's too many things. We're gonna finish off the video right here with a success. I like that. It hasn't really been that way for a little while for me, so I'm really liking that. And if you like the content that we're making here on Muddy Beards 4x4, make sure you consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out. If you want to follow me on social media, I am at Muddy Beards 4x4. We got a website, we got shirts, stickers, stuff like that, muddybeards4x4.com. Make sure you check out Barnes 4-Wheel Drive. Get yourself 10% off of your project parts, bolt-on, builder's parts. You guys know the deal. Link is in the description. And until next time, guys, we will see you back here in the garage or on the trail. I'm not really sure what's happening next, but we need to get this thing out and give it a test hit on a trail, make sure that it is good to go before we start doing our long camping off-road adventure journeys. Anyways, we'll see you in the next video.